All right, we're on the telephone with Spencer Bond. He's a supporter of the Justice for Elijah movement, and he set up a petition calling for the recall and removal from office of Sheriff David Black following the activities associated with the death of Elijah Hadley. Spencer, welcome to Crazy Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
You told me in a text message that you set up this petition because, quote, it needed to be done, close quote. Can you explain that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm assuming you've watched the commission meeting where people began calling for Sheriff Black's removal or stepping down at the very least.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so people were there. They were calling for his resignation. And I wanted to show that this wasn't just a couple of people at a commission meeting, right? This is something that people throughout the community, throughout Otero County, strongly believe. And lots of people have come to me with other instances of Sheriff Black's actions that maybe don't really look too good for a sheriff to be doing. And so this isn't something that's unique to Justice for Elijah. This is something that people have been sitting on for a long time, and it's about time something got done.
Now, it seems to me you're rejecting the Fifth Amendment rights of the sheriff. You're skipping due process and skipping presumption of innocence. What say you?
I totally understand where you're coming from. I was actually making sure that everything was above board beforehand. And right, it's important to note that we're not saying that this petition is going to lead to the immediate, I suppose I'll just say, recall of Sheriff Black. Right, this petition is just saying, hey, man, there's some people out here who think that you've done some bad things, haven't been doing what you need to be doing in your position as a leader in this community, and we're concerned. We'd like for you to step down. I believe I gave him a month. After this, we'll proceed with other actions. But for now, this is just people saying, hey, man, we're a bit concerned.
So why not wait for the findings on the ongoing investigation?
That's a great question, and it does come down to your feelings on the matter. To me, I don't believe that the findings on the investigation or what happens in court matters. I firmly believe that the actions of the deputy alone, regardless of what is found out in court, would be enough reason for me, if I was the sheriff, to say, hey, listen, the way you behaved that night isn't how I want my deputies behaving. So I'm going to have to ask you to step down, or I'm going to have to fire you.
Okay, so we're reverting back now to skipping due process, but I don't want to get stuck in a loop, so we'll move forward. Now,
well, my question for you then is, what do you mean by due process? Are you saying that the sheriff isn't allowed to fire their deputies?
No, not at all. Of course the sheriff is allowed to hire and fire as he sees fit, but...
And so what I'm saying is that if I was the sheriff, I would absolutely see fit to fire that deputy based on his actions alone.
But you're using a petition to call for the removal of the sheriff, but we'll move forward.
I'm using a petition to show that it's important for the sheriff to see that people want him to step down. I'm fully aware that this petition isn't an official document. This isn't a legal document. This is purely just saying, hey, man, look, there are people in this community that want you to look at what you've been doing, that want you to look at what your deputies are doing, and perhaps think to yourself, hey, I'm not right for this position.
I'm impressed that you brought that up because that was my next thing. You said a petition needed to be done, but instead of creating a legally binding petition, you created one online, which, as you mentioned, carries no legal weight and has no impact. Why would you choose?
Absolutely not.
Why would you choose to use that?
Yeah, no one is under the impression that this is a legal document, at least I would hope not. Right? This is just something online, once again, to say, hey, this is something that people are worried about. I believe that once we move on to the next step, which is to say, hey, we gave you the opportunity to step down, right? We gave you the opportunity to come to terms with yourself and realize that you're not the leader you thought you were. We gave you that chance.
So this is all performance art to this point? Yeah,
no, exactly. This is all just building up, right? So obviously, I was looking into it, and I guess we have to make sure that the people that signed the next petition, the legally binding one, they have to be the voters within Otero County. We need to make sure that their names are legible, all that type of stuff. And so that's going to be the next step. But for this right now, we're just giving the sheriff time to figure out what he wants to do.
In 2022, Sheriff Black won his re-election bid with well over 13,000 votes. So what puts you in a position to determine that a man who won with such large support should not remain in office? Should your opinion, and the opinion of the organization, be permitted to circumvent the will of the people?
I don't believe that it is circumventing the will of the people. I think that the will of the people can change over 2 years.
Do you feel that a majority of those 13,000 voters had their opinion swayed?
Oh, absolutely. And maybe not yet. right? That's one of the reasons for this petition, right? This petition isn't supposed to be legally binding. It's not supposed to be causing any type of commotion like that. It's purely there to start raising awareness, right? It's there to demonstrate support of this idea that our sheriff isn't doing what he needs to be doing, right? We're trying to get our community to start getting engaged, right? And especially with I'm not going to go into all of that, but essentially, yeah, anyone who can watch this video of what happened to Elijah, and anyone who can say that the sheriff who doesn't speak out about that, the sheriff who doesn't lead his department when this insane thing is happening, is a good sheriff and deserves to stay in office, I would like for them to come speak to me and explain to me why they think that those actions were okay.
You make a valid point on that one. We're speaking with Spencer Bond, a supporter of the Justice for Elijah movement. He has an online petition on change.org. Spencer, before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to the website. You can get to the petition through the website, justiceforelijah.org.
Justiceforelijah.org. Thank you very much, sir.